if guys like you just started shaming women, do they? You know who's paying for OnlyFans, right? It's lower quality guys.
Yeah, 100%.
So if high quality dudes who got really nice watches and pull up in a Bugatti, and this woman's like, yeah, I want to come hang with you, and he goes, so yeah, what's your body count? And he goes, how dare you ask me that? I don't want no hoe in my car. And he takes off.
Yeah.
Now she's embarrassed. She got shut down, and more women are going to say,
is I'm telling guys, yo, you need to date like a girl and put yourself first, because women absolutely put themselves first. We got girls with sugar daddies. We got girls getting flown out to major cities, because I know you guys say, oh, well, there's women in rural areas that might not necessarily do this stuff. They're still getting flown out. They still have access to these men. They're still one DM away. They're still able to go to Tulum and to Miami, etc. How do we know? Because we deal with these girls. Where are you from? I'm from Bumblefuck, Arkansas. And then they're still going ahead and hanging out with guys like us. And I'm like, holy crap. The sexual marketplace is globalized. And what I mean by that is that your girl ain't safe. She can go
nowhere,
travel anywhere. So I want guys to be aware of this, adapt to it, and understand, okay, which girls am I going to commit to? Are there women out there that are worthy of committing to that you found one? Absolutely. But I want guys to have the skill set to be able to figure out and decipher which ones are worthy.
I saw a funny tweet. I think it might have been Ashley St. Clair. Maybe not. I don't want to attribute the joke to the wrong person, but they said men should not be allowed on Instagram. The point being, guys go on Instagram and they DM women.
Yeah.
So going back to this this decline in sex, showing that men between 18 and 30 are less likely to have had sex in the past year. Women seem to be in a comparable range, a little bit less than normal. I was talking about this a couple of years ago. When I was 20, college age, we didn't have any of this stuff. And so what happens? If you're in college, your sphere of influence and your dating marketplace is your college for the most part. There could be overlapping colleges. Like if you're hanging out at Columbia in Chicago, you might have someone who's going to Loyola. They might say, hey, there's a party, come up here. But for the most part, 18 to 22 is this dating pool range. You're typically not going to run into, when I was younger, a 22-year-old, chick dating a 35-year-old guy or anything like that, because they just don't know them. Then MySpace pops up, Facebook pops up. You start getting a little bit of this, but then you get OkCupid, you get Tinder, and what happens? Now you've got a guy who's 20 years old and he lives in a dorm. He's living in a dorm, same as anybody else in this college. He sends a message to a 20-year-old girl that he knows that they met at a party or they have class together, and he's like, hey, do you want to come hang out? Sure. This guy's kind of attractive. She likes him. What are you doing? He's like, we're hanging out at home. We're watching a movie. We're going to order pizza, or we can just go see a show, down the street at one of the venues. And she's like, oh, that sounds really fun. Then she gets hit up on Tinder by a guy who's 35. Hey, you want to hang out and go do something? Sure. What do you have in mind? I'll come by, pick you up in my, Mitsubishi Spider convertible. We'll drive down to the lake. Then I'll take you out to a nice dinner and we'll have steak. Which one is she going to pick? Now, of course, some women are going to be like, I'd rather hang out with my friends and my community. But there is an increased pressure now where younger women have access to higher value guys. And I mean that in status wise, wealth wise, access. And it's a question of this dude's going to bring you to a rooftop bar downtown. He makes $70,000 a year. He's not the richest guy in the world, but for you, a broke college student in debt, he's going to buy you a nice dinner. He's going to get you drinks, and you're going to overlook the city. And then, that sounds so much fun. Or you can hang out in the dorm with your buddies who are also poor.
And here's the other thing too. One of the biggest complaints that we get from guys that are in the dating marketplace is the flake rate. Women plan a date with them. Oh, I'll come out with you, blah, blah, blah. And then she doesn't show up, or she doesn't respond to text or whatever. Anytime a girl flakes on a guy, what it simply means is something better came along. And thanks to the internet, thanks to Instagram, thanks to dating apps, etc., which dating apps heavily favor women, by the way. Guys absolutely fail dating apps. Only about 5% of guys even get swiped right in the first place. Women have more abundance than ever before, and they have more options than ever before. And I don't think guys understand. We've interviewed 2,500 women now at this point on our show, from different socioeconomic statuses, different professions, different backgrounds, different everything,
countries
right? Different
too.
Classes, different countries, countries, social structures, religion, everything. We've literally interviewed women at all different levels on our podcast. And what I've come to realize is the abundance of options that modern day women have is absolutely influenced how they view the opposite gender. Most women, unfortunately, do not respect most men. Most women think most men are below them. They would not date most men. They think most men are invisible, and they think most men are inferior to them when it comes to, I want a top tier guy. Because when I ask girls, what do you want in a man? And we actually ask them, they always describe a guy in the top 2 to 3%.
I would say that's, maybe it's too bold to say statistically proven, but I would say we have seen tons of data showing exactly what you said is most likely to be the case. I think it was Tinder or OkCupid's data showing that the average man has a natural bell curve for female attraction and value, and the average female has a super warped curve that they only look at men. They would rate 8. Men that are on average rated 8 to 10 are deemed average, and for men the bell curve is normal. Like the average woman is average. Yeah. The ugly woman is ugly. The beautiful woman is beautiful. For women, almost all guys, 80% of men, they deem unworthy or unattractive.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the solution to this then is to say, engage in it. Perhaps the solution is get away from these, areas full of debauchery, go out to smaller areas and find something more wholesome. If cities have embraced this culture to this degree, then perhaps the solution is to recognize that and get away from it.
You can, but that does not necessarily save you, because that woman is still going to be open to the globalized sexual marketplace. She still might go to college in an area where she might still go to university where being promiscuous and everything is encouraged. At University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, someone sent me a picture of this. They're literally giving girls honey packs and condoms.
Yeah. Y'all are just thinking too short term and too self-focused, in my opinion. Like, so I'm thinking in generations, right? Like, how long did it take us to get to this point as a society? All the things which a lot of it's true, and you cannot argue with a lot of the points just made. 100%.
Centuries.
It's a big, I wouldn't say centuries. I would say, well, maybe overall, but you look at the past, 50 years or so, and you can see the writing on the wall of what has happened to the nuclear family, what's happened to society,
absolutely,
the way women are viewed, the whole deal. And so the solution to me is a generational one. And what it is that when the high value men demand something different and are open to something different and saying, you know what, this Instagram, like, let me fly you out to Bali on my private jet deal is no longer attractive to them because they have a higher standard that they're setting for themselves. Hopefully my sons, who will be,
the women are not attracted to that anymore, is what you're saying?
I'm saying the men are saying, we want something different. We don't want the Instagram hoe that I can fly in overnight just to have a quick,
that is biology.
That's never happening.
That's biology.
With all due respect, that's never.
Yeah. No, but hold on.
Yeah,
like,
go ahead.
I agree a lot with what he's saying. Imagine if women are only looking at the top 8, 9, 10 of men.
Yeah.
If guys like you just started shaming women, do they? You know who's paying for OnlyFans, right? It's lower quality guys.
Yeah.
100%. So if high quality dudes who got really nice watches and pull up in a Bugatti, and this woman's like, yeah, I want to come hang with you, and he goes, so yeah, what's your body count? And he goes, how dare you ask me that? I don't want no hoe in my car. And he takes off. Yeah. Now she's embarrassed. She got shut down, and more women are going to say, if I want a high value man, because only the guys are going to come after me are going to be high value.
So maybe
let's be real here.
Maybe are we going to turn this into the Dreamcast?
Yeah.
This is the Dreamcast. Now let's talk.
But let's be real here. As men, we gotta be honest here, bro. We smashing whatever's possible, and if they're bad, you're not gonna say no.
Yes,
speak for yourself,
bro.
Though.
When you were single, right, and you were my age, right, what were you doing?
I would call myself stupid. Is what I would call myself, stupid, immature.
But you were still smashing.
Okay. I would call myself stupid, immature, not brought up properly, not taught the things that actually make me into a high value man. So I think you need to flip the equation. You say the women have all the power, but what you're saying is, what we're really saying is the top tier of men, you're saying, get to have their pick of the women. Who has the power then to
I've said
to
it
set the standard?
I've actually said this a million times. What feminism actually did was it inadvertently gave the top 1% of guys all the levers.
Yes,
yeah. I've said that a million times. But my thing is this. I get what you're saying. That's ideal, but it's not real, because let me explain to you why this will never work. Even though it sounds great on paper, why it'll never work. A man that's successful, that has a private jet, that's earned millions of dollars, that's acquired status, etc., they busted their ass to get to that point. You think he's going to sit there and only hook up with one girl? I always use the candy store analogy. And he's banging a bunch of chicks now, right?
Did you see the South Park episode they did about this?
Yeah.
They were all shocked. Like, how is this happening that wealthy, successful men keep having sex with all these women?
Yeah.
What's going on?
That's hilarious. That's not
and it's because, and it's like, even though we should tell guys, exercise sexual temperance, stop doing this, blah, blah, blah. The guys that become successful are going to look at you flip the bird and be like, I'm going to continue to do this. I had to bust my ass to get to this position. And one of the first things that guys do once they make money is they start going crazy with girls. So realistically speaking, the guys are never going to stop trying to bang girls. And then the girls that are looking for status and experiences, etc., they're never going to want to go keep chasing the top 1% guys because it's embedded in our biology. And then on top of that, it's never going to change because women worked really hard during feminism and they worked really hard to get the same equality and opportunities that men have. So they're never going to go ahead and say, you know what? We want to go back to the kitchen and serve a man and, you know, be a dutiful wife. No, they only want to do that for a small percentage of men that are the same guys that don't want to commit.
See, we are in the game currently, right? You guys might be out of the game. I know you're married and stuff like that. Understandable. I have friends, high value guys, so to speak. They're successful. I see their DMs. I have girls that are cool, beautiful girls. I see their DMs. What do you see? You see them in Dubai. You see them in Miami. You see them in Costa Rica. You see them everywhere, right? Who's paying for these trips? We are. Now, to be fair here, I agree with you. They should stop. But will they? No. So guess what? And hold on. You know the worst part? These girls, some of them are married, have boyfriends, and they'll never know. Oh, I'm going on a girls trip, honey. I'll be back soon. Someone's finding them out. I'm just saying, generally speaking, most guys will never stop.
It just feels like what we're saying is like...
It's pessimistic, I know.
You're saying the system is really messed up, and so therefore let's just enjoy it. Like I just
not
can't...
enjoy, adapt.
Let me put my political mind to all of this and show you the roadmap I see. When I look at this data that these guys aren't having sex, and we're saying that it's the wealthy, successful guys that are getting access to all the women.
Yeah.
Think about what that means in terms of human civilization reproduction. It means that slightly above average to below average, I'm talking about like 70% of men and down are not going to be reproducing or having a hard time doing it.
Yeah.
Only the strongest, smartest, most successful, cunning are going to reach a level of status where they're going to be having access to all these women. This means that mathematically, you can look at it from a mathematical equation. Over a longer period of time, there's a higher standard of men reproducing and the lower standard of men are failing to reproduce. And this seems more carnal than what society used to be, right? It feels more like what chimps do, where it's like the alpha beats the crap out of their dudes and then bangs all the women, and then all the babies come from one strongest guy.
Yeah.
There's a problem here for human civilization. When it comes to other mammal species and the way they engage in reproduction, it doesn't matter to any of us or anyone in these areas where there are, primates or mammals that engage in that kind of pair bonding. But in human civilization, what we do know is when there are large quantities of men who are unpaired, society breaks down.
Absolutely.
You get crime, chaos, violence, social disorder, and then eventually collapse of governance. We've talked about this quite a great deal when looking at communist nations and the rise of revolution. It is purposeless young men, and they're going to put that energy somewhere.
Absolutely. If
we're building a system that has cut off large portions of men from dating, they will figure out something to do with that. And idle hands is devil's playground.
Yeah.
So while you may say in the short term, there is a net evolutionary positive in that the smartest, quickest, strongest men are having are more likely to have families, then you also have to contend with the rest of men will burn that system to the ground.
100%.
So Andrew Tate is famous for saying this competition being held at high levels, low levels for men always, right? And look at Nick Cannon. He has 11 kids? Yeah, Akon, like 20 kids. So you're right. The top guys are getting most of the kids. Trump as well. Now, are you guys Christian, by the way? Are you Christian?
I'm not Christian. I believe in God, but I'm not.
Okay. So if you're Christian, you know what's going to happen. Revelations, it speaks about it. End times, pretty much like this is going to happen no matter what you do. However, you can save a few people by talking to them directly, telling them the truth. But my thing is like, it's going to happen anyway. So why not just adapt to it, be the best man you can be, and try to win? Because I think you can't really change it, to be honest with you.
You can change your life. You can make your, like, I'm very much focused on the things that I can control in my own life and building a fortress around my family financially, mentally, spiritually. And I know it's possible because I've done it, and I'm not particularly special. Like, I'm not super intelligent. I work really hard, and I've been successful because I was committed to a purpose, and most of that purpose came from my children. Once I had children, it was a different ball. And you can track my net worth and my everything from when my first son was born. It's like a flip switched and boom. Yeah. It's like a different level of purpose. And to, even to delay that for men, to get experience or whatever, maybe, because I think what ends up happening is the sex, because just because we're men, we're carnal, the sex becomes the purpose over what the purpose should actually be, which should be to start building your life. Part of that's dating, but to say that this is the way it has to be and is always going to be, I think it's just too pessimistic for me. I don't think that has to be it.
I'll go back to where I was at when I said society breaks down, because nothing ever ends there. There's always what comes next. And thinking about, as you describe it, if we come to a point where there are too many purposeless, listless men, and they've become sexually frustrated, they've become professionally frustrated, it's hard for them to find work. Not only are they competing with higher value men for the sexual marketplace, it's also the physical, actual professional marketplace, and now they're competing with women for jobs too. Mm-hmm. If this does lead to some kind of social order breakdown, after the dust settles and the revolution, Soviet Union lasted 69 years. Who's going to be in charge of what comes next? It's going to be guys like Jason, who have secured and fortified their family and have prepared generationally. If you have kids, you raise your kids right. When everything breaks down, those kids are part of your network, your protection. They're part of what will keep your society going. But if you look at a place like, New York, maybe Miami, where people are not having kids and they're very promiscuous, when social order breaks down, those their lines break. I'll put it this way: you are more likely to survive a conflict with a family than without one. That's the easiest way to look at it. And then if you look at the math for that, I would just say the equation seems to predict if social order does break down because of what we're seeing, with dating apps, with social media. Give it 100 years, and it's going to be people like Jason who are controlling it.
I think he just nailed it though. Like the vision I see for what you guys are saying is like turning the entire world into San Francisco, and I'm like, no, but I'm not into that.
No, but look, and I hear you. And then San Francisco collapses completely, and then it's ashes with people like you standing on top of it.
Correct.
Yeah, but the other thing, which I understand what you're saying, like, yeah, you're better off with a family. But what's worse is that you build a family with a woman that wasn't worthy in the first place 100%. Because you didn't have the knowledge to do so.
We agree on that.
My thing is, I'm telling guys, yes, build families, have children. We are not against that at all. The nuclear family is absolutely the backbone of why the United States is the most powerful country in the world. However, what I am saying is that most women are not worthy of building a nuclear family with. I want guys to go into the relationships or marriage or anything like that with their eyes wide open. A lot of these women are not worthy of it, and you need to pick the best one.
Okay, so would you tell them, because like there are a lot of points of agreement here.
Yeah.
But would you tell them that when you choose to slide into a woman's DMs or whatever you do to pick up women,
yeah,
that your goal should still be, whether it's your first one or your 50th one, the end goal should still be consider whether or not you want this woman to raise your kids.
Of course, but the thing is that, our guy's going to do that. A lot of guys are going to think with their dick, and they're going to want to go ahead and have sex with girls and hook up.
But what's the idea? What should they do is what I'm asking.
Where's the thing? Identifying what you don't want is just as important as identifying what you do want. So maybe you might need to go through one or two IG thotties to figure out, damn, I don't really want to be with these types of women. Get that out of your system. So my thing is, I want guys to be experienced so that they don't experience the wrong girl, build a family with the wrong girl. One thing really quick,
because I have a friend. He actually is on Twitter. I think it's, dang it, what was his name? Bowtied Broke is on Twitter. He was a 6'5" stud back in the day, kind of the epitome of everything we're talking about. Getting all the girls, he had his pick of the women, and he took it. Later on, he did the same thing. He got it out of his system, and he got married. Infidelity was a mainstay in his marriage after he had children.
From his perspective, he was cheating on her?
Correct. And
see, we tell guys, you got to be honest about that.
I'll never forget what he said to me, though, because it reminded me of what you just said. He said, everybody told me at the time, go ahead and get it out of your system. And he said, what I found out was I didn't get it out of my system. I got it into my system.
It never went away.
And it never went away. And that's the brain chemistry thing that I'm talking about. So for the big disagreement that I keep pushing back on is all of the things you're saying are true, except for always have the intention of purpose behind your drive to find the right woman, know what you want, know what you don't want, filter as many as you need to find that person, but don't go into it like, I'm going to bang 10 women because I can and I'm high value or whatever. because that's not getting it out of your system. It's getting it into your system.
Let's shift a little bit and talk.
Guys are always going to want to have sex with women, though.
Sure,
that's just being keeping it real.
Even married
I
men.
didn't say,
men
I didn't
are
say
only
you
as
can't
faithful
have
as
sex.
like
have
see-
sex.
Yeah, but bro, like drugs feel good too, right?
Exactly.
You've got to have willpower and control.
discipline. And
Like you got to teach guys to be able to punch through a brick wall, and that takes time, energy, discipline, and focus. Not to go, watch porn. And I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying like you have to tell them to do the hard thing. But I want to shift. I want to shift.
Okay. That's
Nail one more point. No, I don't want to cut you off.
No. All I was going to say was like, I get it that you're saying, because men, here's the thing. I talk about men and women, and people tend to forget that I criticize men as well. Men are only going to be as faithful as their options typically. That's just how it is. So are a lot of guys going to sit there and exercise, de-discipline as you guys are saying? The majority, no. Because once guys get to a certain point and they make a certain amount of money, they become successful, etc., they're going to want to have women. That's why a lot of these guys, they have mistresses, they have sugar babies, they have women on the side, they deal with escorts, whatever. So since guys are going to do this anyway, most of the time when they have the resources to do so, I say just be honest with your partner. Look, I'm going to have multiple women.
Let's